this isn't about what he feels capable of doing, I'm told. It's about the kind of the risk that other people might pose to him. He doesn't want to catch anything while he's going through this treatment.
From Buckingham Palace, the good news there, that His Majesty the King is getting better. He is going to be getting back to public duties. And joining me here in the studio is Kate Mansey, assistant editor at The Times. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
Well, I mean, that's positive news, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I think a lot of people in the palace seeing this as a very good news, because the doctors have said that they're sufficiently pleased now with the progress that the king is making with his cancer treatment, that he can now return to public duties, which is something he's been angling at for a long time. He's been away from the public since the start of the year, frankly. He went into hospital for an enlarged prostate treatment and then subsequently was diagnosed with the cancer. That was announced on the 5th of February. And since then, we've only really seen him in kind of video format. We've had videos that he's done for the Commonwealth Day service and things like that. And then we saw him, of course, on Easter Sunday when he did a little walkabout and shook hands. But on Tuesday, this will be a return to duties for the king. Now, it's important to say that his treatment does continue. So it's not over yet. They're not saying that he's cancer-free, but they are saying that his progress is good. His treatment will continue, and they're not saying, it's not clear how long that treatment will continue for. But all things do seem to point in the right direction, and obviously that they're pleased enough. They're describing it, the palace is describing it as a milestone, that he's back out. And it's been released alongside a new picture of the King and Queen, sort of quite informal in the gardens of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, so quite a significant moment, as you were saying. We did see him at that Easter service. He was out and about, shaking hands and so on, but a return to proper engagements on Tuesday. But that treatment continuing, no clear indication yet of how long that's going to go on, or indeed how many other engagements there's going to be.
That's right. So this period of time, this kind of build up to summer, there's all sorts of things in the royal calendar that happen every year. So we have Trooping the Colour, the Monarch's birthday parade. There's the garden parties that are held at Buckingham Palace. We have Royal Ascot. So the palace isn't confirming which of these events he will do, and each one of them will be kind of carefully curated with regards to risk assessment and that sort of thing. So it remains to be seen, but they are committing to that inward state visit, like you say, from Japan. The King and Queen will host the Emperor and Empress of Japan at the end of June at Buckingham Palace. But again, will the king be there for as much of it as he might previously have been? Everything's going to be kind of taken by the doctors on a kind of case-by-case basis, I think.
Yeah, because those state visits are big and important occasions, aren't there? Often banquets and so on. And, I mean, what are you sensing about how the king is feeling? Clearly, we have seen him in public, but that treatment is continuing. Anyone who's gone through that will know it can be pretty grueling.
I think that's the fatigue, isn't it? When he, coming through that, if anybody who knows somebody who's been through treatment. Now, we don't know exactly what type of treatment the King's had or is currently having or ongoing. But certainly at the age of 75, they'll be very cautious to step in, carefully to overload him with anything. But he has been carrying out engagements behind the scenes anyway. I mean, it helps, according to those within the palace, it helps that we're coming into summer, that he can do events outside. And as we all know from the pandemic, that there's lower risk of him infection. And this isn't about what he feels capable of doing, I'm told. It's about the kind of the risk that other people might pose to him. He doesn't want to catch anything while he's going through this treatment.
Yeah, because they wouldn't want to have any kind of setback, would there? And there will be these risks, these concerns that if he's taking on these other engagements, that is exposing him to greater risk.
That's right. And I think the nature of the engagements that he does will be telling. I mean, the fact that, of course, on Tuesday, his first one, the significant one, will be at a cancer treatment centre. It's not, I'm told, one of the centres that has treated him or the Princess of Wales. But it's going to be a big moment. I think he'll be there with the Queen, and that will be something to kind of to see how that is played, how many people he actually meets there. But I think he's been missing those public events, from what I'm told.
In the meantime, of course, the Princess of Wales still having treatment. What are you hearing about that?
That's right. Well, her plea for privacy in March came when she revealed, obviously, that she was having this preventative chemotherapy as she undergoes treatment for cancer after it was found in post-operative tests. We saw William. I was up in Birmingham yesterday with Prince William. A few people sort of wishing her well to him there. But I think the Kensington Palace line is kind of business as usual. William will do what he can to give Kate the space to recover in her own time. And certainly, with the King back on duty, that will be a bit of a relief, I think, to everybody at the palace.
Yeah, because the royal family has been somewhat stretched during this period. Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Just a reminder of that statement from Buckingham Palace saying that the King will shortly return to public-facing duties after a period of treatment and recuperation following his recent cancer diagnosis. And that's going to be starting next Tuesday, with the King and Queen making a joint visit to a cancer treatment centre. And I'm sure everyone listening will be delighted to hear that things there are moving in the right direction. Kate, thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Well, let's talk to the royal commentator, Ingrid Seward. Good evening to you, Ingrid.
Hello.
Well,
How are you?
I'm very well, and this is positive news, isn't it?
It's very positive news. It means that I'm sure the King has been champing at the bit to try and get back to having a visible public life, because he knows how important it is, especially when life is very difficult as it is now. There's so many things that are going wrong in the world. And so people look to the monarch and they look to the head of state, and he hasn't been able to be there a great deal. But I mean, he's still put in appearances. And I think it's probably because he's incredibly healthy and strong that he's coped so well with this cancer treatment. I mean, I've been reading up about it, and if you're strong, you have a much better chance of responding to it well. And he's obviously responded very well.
And we are hearing, though, that the treatment is continuing, isn't it? And so, I mean, what do you sense that we should expect now from the King? We've got this visit on Tuesday. I mean, is this going to be a rare public opinion appearance, do you think, or could he be taking on quite a bit more in the coming weeks?
I think, you see, the thing is, it's the really busy social royal season coming up. Where the monarchy is always visible. The first thing is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Now, I know that the King will absolutely have to be there in his own mind. He's not going to miss that. But how visible he will be once he's there, I'm not sure. Then we have the Garter ceremony. We have Trooping the Colour. Then we have the Garter ceremony. Then we have Royal Ascot Week. Now, I just cannot imagine that he would appear every day at Royal Ascot like he did last year, but he will appear, I'm certain of that, and he will be there for the Garter ceremony. So I think we'll see him, but we won't see him for such an extendedly long period of time. So he'll make an appearance, he'll be full of bonhomie, and he'll make people realize that he's there and he's better. But I don't think he's going to linger in the way that he might do if he was in full health.
Yeah, because obviously those treating him will want to be cautious about his exposure to risk and about just putting him under too much pressure.
Well, I think, from what I understand, it's very tiring. Any kind of cancer treatment makes you very tired. And I think Camilla actually is the key to the King's good behavior, because she's certainly going to make sure that he rests enough and doesn't overdo it. But she was the one that said he was the healthiest person she'd ever met, and he used to sort of bounce across the Scottish hills as if he was a mountain goat. So he's very strong. He does exercises every day and has done the same exercises for years. He hangs upside down from the ceiling. We know that from what he's told us and from what Prince Harry's told us. So he's very careful with his health, and he eats very healthily. So if anyone is going to make a very good recovery, I would think it would be him. But, we don't, none of us know.
And just finally, I'm sure there's going to be such a huge focus, isn't there, when he and the Queen do appear at that cancer centre on Tuesday, and indeed on every subsequent occasion. I mean, obviously the royal family are always in the public spotlight, but there's just been so much concern, hasn't there? Especially at a time when the Princess of Wales is also still undergoing her treatment.
In a way, I feel that this sort of setback of and horrible illness that the king has suffered has in a way brought him closer to his people, because as we never stop hearing it, 1 in 2 people are usually cancer victims. So it's now he is one as well. I feel that people can relate to him more, and he's getting more and more adulation because of it. So if there was ever an upside, and I'm sure there isn't an upside, that would be the tiniest of upsides for him.
Ingrid Seward, royal commentator. Really good to have your thoughts. Thank you so much.